Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I will be talking about the Grim Reaper as I draw my version of the Grim Reaper. So for those of you who are familiar with a previous video that I made some time ago, I decided to give it another shot, but in digital format, like with my recent stuff lately. So here in this version, I decided to do a little bit even more research and even look at other iterations of the Grim Reaper. But this time I wanted to look at how I want to convey more form and kind of look at, okay, well, I want to add something a little bit more unexpected and not too different, but just improving on the details actually. But I want to go over how, like, the word Grim Reaper, apparently, obviously, death is the Grim Reaper, or death is a name given to something that's not alive, but more of a personification. And this idea of death, most people think, oh, you know, it's simple, people just die, and that's where the idea of death came from. But it was a lot more esoteric many years ago, centuries ago. It's often to convey an idea that it's too mysterious and too anxiety driven. And the word grim in Grim Reaper is said to originate in Old English, and that's why grim has two M's sometimes if you look it up. Also, it also has origins in Norse mythology, Grimmer, where there's another letter R in Grimmer. So I would imagine, just for convenience, just calling it Grim instead. And actually, the Grim Reaper didn't first appear as an icon until, or even just the word itself didn't appear until 1847, very specific. And it was meant to be a Middle English expression, as opposed to like a full-blown mythology or some kind of belief, like an actual Grim Reaper being will come down and take your soul. It was just more of like an expression, like, oh, you know, the Grim Reaper's here to take someone because they died. And it wasn't until later, after the Black Plague, that there's a lot more mysticism surrounding the Grim Reaper, and this whole idea of death being very mysterious and scary, or something unknown, and that people just assume that when someone dies, because there's also that religious aspect too. So that is incorporated with how we perceive death. And what I find most interesting is how there's a character in the Bible known as Samael that is said to be an angel of death, where he deals with as being an escort of people's souls into the afterlife. And so that idea combined with personification of death, you can see how they both naturally fuse together. And so Samael becomes synonymous with death, becoming synonymous with the Grim Reaper. Another thing that I find actually more fascinating, that I think I'm going to do in another third version in a future video, is how this idea of death as a metaphor as opposed to a literal death. And another creature that came to mind was the phoenix. And what I find most fascinating out of all the things I've researched is how the Grim Reaper is famously depicted on the tarot card. I think number 13, conveniently. The tarot card go in order from 0 to 22 or to 21. In some versions they start with number 1 and ending up in 22 in the major arcana category. So among those cards is death, and it's not meant to be literal death, so just to erase any misperception of tarot cards, when you get the card drawn in a fortune telling of death, it's not meant to be literal, but the death of your old self and reborn anew. And it's the same thing with the phoenix. And I love how that's not meant to be a literal death, but something to do philosophically. And that's what I love about the Grim Reaper, at least in tarot cards. Also interesting is that it's also genderless. It's interesting how we often perceive the Grim Reaper to be male, and in some cultures that there is no differentiation. It's just, oh, the Grim Reaper, it's not a man or woman, it's just a Grim Reaper. So I hope you like that rendition of my Grim Reaper now that I'm trying to get a learning curve in the tablet. Let me know what you think. I mostly enjoyed drawing the angel wings. Well, not angel, sorry. Just the black wings. Well, it's an angel of death, so big difference. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. I will see you in the next video.